All right, ladies and gentlemen, friends who are both, and armed companions who are neither, we're ready.
Very good way of putting it.
I try, thank you. This is Pack and Roll Remix with SuperViperT302. Take it away.
Hello, so, yes, they introduced me properly. So if you're unfamiliar with this game, this is a remake of a Nintendo DS game that was originally put on the Namco Museum Remix and Namco Museum Megamix compilations, but is actually now available on Pac-Man Museum Plus for multiple different platforms. And I'll go over, and I'm actually playing this on the Wii version because unfortunately I don't have a way to properly capture any of those versions as of yet, but I will be going over all of the differences. So if we're ready, let's just go ahead and get started in 3, 2, 1, go. So Pac-Man is a limbless ball in this game, hence the name. So your only controls are rolling around, and you also have this dash boost mechanic that you get by shaking the Wii remote, and it basically gives you a set amount of forward momentum in a given direction, whatever direction you're holding actually. So that's kind of the main mechanic for going fast in this game. It also allows you to break open boxes, and when you do it while going off of a really steep slope, you can get a lot of upwards height, which will be used for a few skips that are present in this run. Another big mechanic in this game is the brake button, and that might not sound like a useful mechanic in speedrunning, but it stops your momentum dead short. So it actually makes it a lot easier. You'll notice in this section, for example, I'm able to stop Pac-Man's momentum and then immediately boost again in another direction without having to let the full boost play out. So if you look at the tasks of this game, which I would recommend watching immediately after this run, then you see that they're basically using that mechanic all throughout the game, and it's absolutely mind-bending to watch. Unfortunately, humans just don't have that reaction speed, so what I'm able to show off here is only a fraction of what this game's skill ceiling is. So most of the levels in this game are relatively simplistic. The goal of them is basically to reach that goal platform at the end of each stage. And in order to do that, you need to collect a specific number of pack dots in order to bypass these green gates known as Bulbous gates. Most of them are not skippable because they basically act like giant invisible walls, and they have really big hitboxes. But you'll see a few of them that are skippable as well. So, and during that level, you actually saw me use another big useful thing with the boost mechanic is that you can actually use it to cancel Pac-Man's recoil momentum when he boosts into a box, for example, to break it. So you see me use that quite a bit whenever I need to prevent Pac-Man from like falling off a ledge or whatever. Okay, so in this stage, I'm using the Night Pack power-up. There are two power-ups in this game, and this power-up does make Pac-Man a lot heavier, so he moves a lot slower, but he also is able to, the main use of it is being able to break through those metal boxes, which normal Pac-Man can't do. Okay, so in 1.5, you're supposed to be introduced to this power-up, the Winged Pac-Man power-up, which makes Pac-Man a lot lighter, and will be used quite often to exploit the very broken mechanics, but it's actually slightly faster to not use normal pack, to actually use normal pack here, because I'm actually going to be able to make a slightly faster cycle. I might be a little slow for this, let's see. We're good. Oh no. I was just slightly too late there. That's not a huge deal, because there's a checkpoint right there. I gotta find the level. I gotta find the... Okay, that was a close... That was a little close call there. So, yeah, if I was just a little bit faster there, I could have made that cycle, but it's whatever. All right, so now we're in 2-1. This level has the first big skip of the game. So I need to get Light Pack here, and I need to do that by going underwater. And then I can use that slope boost mechanic I talked about earlier to get up to this ledge, which you can't normally access until the end of the level. That was not good. Let's try that again. Yeah, I can use ledge grab hops here. Ledge grab hops are another pretty broken mechanic, because I can use them to just basically get around ledges like that. So you'll notice that I jumped into the gold platform before I opened the gate, and that basically just skips the gate in that level. That's the first of a few gate skips you'll be seeing in this run. There's actually even more on the Pac-Man Museum Plus version. So I'll go ahead and kind of touch on the differences on Museum Plus here. This level is pretty straightforward. So, in Pac-Man Museum Plus, you'll notice that whenever I become airborne in this version of the game, Pac-Man's momentum kind of gets stopped. That doesn't necessarily happen in Museum Plus. And also, Pac-Man can sort of vector in midair in order to gain even more momentum. And so that actually makes a bunch of skips that would not normally be possible either much easier or just straight up RTA viable or possible. So in this level, for example, this is probably the best example because the gold platform is actually right behind where you start in this level, and in the Wii versions, it's not normally possible to boost from the beginning straight to the end because of the way momentum works in this game, but in the Pac-Man Museum Plus version, it is. And so that skip saves about a minute. And you were probably wondering, well then, like, why aren't you running on that? Well, for one, I just said I can't capture it properly yet. And two, it doesn't really make much of a difference because, while Pac-Man Museum Plus does allow for some skips that save about, almost 2 minutes in total, it then loses most of that time back to stuff like loads and lag. So ultimately, you could run on either, and there wouldn't be much of a difference in real time, which is how this game is timed. Yeah, as you can see, this is a pretty long level, so having that skip be possible is kind of useful. It does look really cool too, and I'll make sure to get into everything else as we approach it. So we're coming up on the first boss stage. This is against the antagonist of the game, Galvis. He doesn't get a story in Pac-Man Remix, but just know that he's a weird rock and roll playing ghost. And the way these fights work is you're just supposed to eat 3 power pellets that make Galvis edible, and then you can actually eat them, and you have to do that a total of 3 times. And the power pellets will always spawn in the same location, so it's just a matter of knowing where they are ahead of time and reacting to how you can get them. I have to wait a little bit here for Galvis so that I don't have to hunt him down. And then I use my Night Pack there to break that box so that it's not in my way after I grab this first power pellet. Okay. I managed to sneak past him there. If you hit him there, then it stops your momentum dead on. So it's gonna be kind of hard to regain it again. That was a very clean 2 boss. Alright, so 3-1. This is one of the biggest reset points of the entire game, unfortunately. The first 40 seconds or so of this stage require very close to perfect gameplay in order to make a platform cycle. And also, with the way this route works, I actually can't miss a single pack dot in this first section, or else I'll lose at least 5 seconds in the next section of the level. And then another thing that makes this even harder is that ghost movement is completely RNG. So, for example, that ghost can basically be anywhere in the level, and they can just sometimes be in your way unavoidably. You do get invincibility frames when you run into them, but it's just better to just avoid them altogether, and that was really good. So now we're getting to the second part of the level, which isn't any easier than the first. So you have to ride this car normally to get to these last few platforms, but you can actually use ledge grab hops to go between them, and then basically just skip the car. And then I can do the same thing here. I can just use slow boost to get to these final 2 platforms. And as you'll see, I'll have just enough pack dots to finish the level. I end with exactly 0. A lot of routes in this game are pretty tight like that, where most of the level routes in this game revolve around just trying to avoid backtracking and going out of your way as little as possible. Also, that section is absolutely annoying. Those ghosts just always get in your way if you don't have the right momentum there. So I need Night Pack here again to grab some underwater pack dots. You need at least, I think, 3 or 4 in order to actually properly make this route work out. So yeah, that's me, for example, trying to use boosting a little bit more, but the problem is that, as you can see, if you don't hold the exact right angles, and it's easy to just walk into the wall. The controls in this game are not exactly easy to get a good handle on. So this Blinky here with the Night Pack card, he is on a cycle, so I can pretty much know where he's going to be at a specific time in the level, and I need to eat him in order to get that Night Pack card there. I could have actually skipped the normal pack card earlier, but it's faster to take it because normal pack, again, just moves so much faster. Okay, so 3-3 is all about cycles. There's just a bunch of moving platforms in this level, and the route I'm going to be doing here is very, very generous on cycles, almost a little too generous, in fact. There is a route that allows you to complete this level one cycle faster and save about 6 seconds, but it's stupidly hard and probably not RTA viable. So we're going to go with the much safer route. This is one of those levels where you should get the same time every time if you play it the same way. So yeah, this section's mostly just about kind of minimizing the amount of time you spend waiting on these platforms. You're probably wondering why I can't just ledge grab hop around the gates with light pack here. And like I said earlier, most of them have large hitboxes that basically act as invisible walls that prevent you from getting over them. And not only that, but in levels like this, there's actually wind placed around all this gates so that you can't just jump around them. It just pushes you off and then you eventually die. So unfortunately, for the most part, I do have to play this world as intended. 3-4, this is a level where I'm going to be particularly stingy with pack dots, because there is a roller coaster ride at the very end of the stage that is effectively an auto-scroller, and I can't skip the entire thing, unfortunately, because I need a bunch of pack dots from it. Alright, I just missed one, but that's fine. I need a bunch of pack dots from it to open the final gate of the level. By not missing any pack dots prior to that section, I can actually save a little bit of time at the end, and I've already missed 3, which is really bad. I really don't want to miss it. Okay, 4 I think is the absolute minimum, or the absolute maximum I can miss. Okay. So I'm going to be losing a little bit of time in this section. So you'll notice in the lower left-hand corner is how many pack dots I need for that Galvus gate, and then the upper left is how many I currently have in my inventory. So I need the upper left number to match to be at least equal to or greater than the lower left-hand number to complete the stage. But when you die, you respawn back at the previous checkpoint, but you keep all the pack dots you had saved up until that point. So I missed another one there. So hopefully I'll still have enough to do this. Alright, we got exactly enough to make that work out. So when I reach 80 pack dots, I basically just fall off and die. And then I respawn back at that checkpoint, and then I'm able to finish the stage a few seconds earlier. So the reason why that autosave message popped up is because my life count changed between levels. You saw that happen earlier as well. So that wastes about 4 seconds each time that happens, and that will also happen if you beat an IL time or update a score of any kind. Alright, this fight is particularly challenging. You have very little space to work with here, and if you die at all by falling off the edge, then you have to redo the entire fight. So definitely one of the scariest fights in the run. A lot of fast, precise movement you gotta do here. So I'm waiting there to eat that first power pellet was actually intentional, because I was trying to manipulate Galvus into staying still so that I could eat him a little bit easier. Okay, World 4 is without a doubt the worst world in any percent. A lot of really difficult stuff here. This level is an absolute nightmare, because it has a lot of really, really precise movement that you need to do. A lot of obstacles that just bounce back in around like a pinball. And then there's this skip that I'm going to try. Oh my gosh, I actually got that. That is the second time that skip has ever been pulled off RTA. So I actually messed up my setup for that. I'm amazed that worked. So what I did there was what's known as a bounce boost. And that basically allows you to maintain the momentum of a regular boost while you're on a bounce pad. And so by doing that, I was able to actually fling myself over that barrier that protects you from the that separates those two sections, and that's actually a double gate skip right there. That requires a frame-perfect motion control-based input, and my success rate with that skip on this version is maybe 1 in 10. Now, that's actually one of the skips where on Pac-Man Museum Plus, it's much easier due to the change in physics. You don't have to do that precise trick in order to do it, but I figured it was still worth trying to go for here. So that saved me about 10 seconds over just playing the level normally. That was actually insane. This level is mostly just a bunch of straightforward going through, collecting pack dots. You can actually skip the last 2 gates here, but those skips are task only, so you won't be seeing me go for them. Okay. And then this level, again, mostly just about cycles. There's not really a whole lot to say about this one, so I'll just let you enjoy the movement, and now would probably be a good time to fit like 1 or 2 donations in if there are any.
Well, sadly, it doesn't seem like we've had any, which is a shame because all of these donation incentives are going spare. We have the Shrek car for Hot Wheels World Race. Who doesn't want to see the Shrek car, guys? Come on. We've got naming most of the party, if not all of it, in Final Fantasy IX. I don't know, I only played 14 and 5 for some reason. And we have a cutscene percent. Number Munchers is almost halfway at 105 out of 250. And I don't know what that game is, but anything called Number Munchers has got to have good cutscenes, right?
I can imagine that. Okay, 4-4 is a pretty difficult level. There's a skip at the start here that I have pulled off on Wii, but again is way easier on Pac-Man Museum Plus. But there is another skip midway through the level that I'm going to be attempting here. It saves about 7 seconds. You would think this would be the kind of level to just be filled with skips because it's basically just a long downwards path. But the way death planes work in this game is unfortunately quite frustrating. Alright, so I'm going to set this up here. Hopefully I can pull this off. This might work. There we go. Yeah, that skip's actually a little bit harder than it looks. I mean, this level in general is just absolutely nightmare, because if you hold even the slightest wrong direction while you're boosting, then Pac-Man will just go flying off the stage, and checkpoints are very, very sparse in this level, so most deaths will basically just kill your run. So far, this is going pretty good. Okay, and 4-5. So you'll remember that mechanic I used for that skip in 4-1, which I'm just going to reiterate, I should not have been able to pull that skip off. That was a complete fluke. But basically the way that tech works is that whenever you land on a bounce pad or lava, you have a 1-frame window to actually input a boost. And then that will allow you to activate the boost momentum, and then you can also kind of combine that with the bounce pad. That is very bad. So health is very important in this level, so that might end up being a really, really big problem. So here I'm going to be using bounce boosting a bunch, hopefully to skip a bunch of those platforms. And then I can do the same thing on lava, as a matter of fact, in order to skip a bunch of the falling towers in this level that you would normally have to climb across. Okay, I'm going to attempt this second set of lava boost here. I'm going to need to have this go really well. Alright, that did go really well. Yeah, health is a very important thing in this level. You actually normally start with only 3 bars of health, but there's hidden pizzas you can get throughout the game that add to your health counter. Okay,
just like in real life.
So I needed at least 3 health to do the optimal ending here, but unfortunately I had to settle for that. That was not a very well played stage, but just getting through it without dying at all is very good. Okay, so this fight is basically all RNG. Galvis can rotate the platform one of many different ways for that first phase. You can kind of mitigate it by slow boosting to those power pellets, but it's still really annoying. Alright, nice, I got that strat. So, by slow boosting to that power pellet a little bit early, I can save a little bit of time on that second phase. Unfortunately, it took forever for me to eat Galvis there. And that can actually make the third phase a little bit faster as well, because you'll notice the platform hasn't fully stabilized yet. So that wasn't a perfect 4 boss, but that was still pretty good. That is probably one of the hardest stages to do optimally in the entire run. Okay, so this is World 5, Galvis' Hideout. This world is exclusive to the remix version of the game, and every single level here has a major skip. So, you'll notice in this level that the gold platform is located right next to where you start. It's just right there. However, they intentionally increased your gravity in this area so that you wouldn't be able to just slow boost there. Now, in Pac-Man Museum Plus, with normal Pac, you can get around it easy peasy. But, you can still do it in this version, but again, it's task only, so I'm going to be doing a slightly different version where I go through that first gate, and then I use Light Pack here to do a slow boost there, and I can just barely land on the corner of the gold platform like that, so that probably saves about 50 seconds. But if you were able to do the skip with normal Pack, it would save an additional 30. So that level is pretty hilariously broken. And then here, you can just kind of fall around all the death planes. These next 2 levels are very fast. I'm surprised I ledge grab there. And then there's another gate skip I can do here where I can just do a slow boost and get into the gold platform early. And then there's this level. Yeah, nothing much to say about that one. Okay, now we have 5-4. So this level does have a gate skip, but it's not marathon safe, so I won't be going for it. It only saves about 10 seconds if you can get it, and failing it loses way more time than that. So it's just really not worth it to go in no resets. It is required for our world record if you're playing on Wii or Wii U. But, and the skip is basically just boosting from in front of the gate to behind it. It's not anything crazy like any of the other skips we've seen so far. But this level still has a couple pretty cool tricks in it. It's definitely one of the more impressive levels movement-wise. And there's another big skip I can go for that's coming up here. Gotta wait for 45 seconds so I can get past this gap. So here's Light Pack and some bounce pads, and with this, the last gear of the level is barely within reach. So that's another like 25 to 30 seconds saved there. And we're on to the final boss. So this final boss actually works in 2 phases. This first phase is mostly just going to be a bunch of boosting around. It's very easy to slip between the cracks of these gears and fall to death and die. So hopefully that does not happen. Takes a lot of precision to get through this properly. So you'll notice I'm using that braking technique again to try and stop Pac-Man's momentum before I go flying off the stage. And also to make sure I can quickly reverse my direction. Okay, so we're entering the second phase of the fight, and this is where it gets interesting. So here, Galvis is going to spawn some ghosts that have power pellets on them, and I'm going to intentionally not eat them until the third phase of the fight, because I can save up 3 of them, and I can actually eat them as Galvis is spawning in for the third phase, and do damage to him as he's spawning in. And if I save all 3 of them for that moment, then I can actually cancel Galvis' spawning animation and save about 10 seconds. So I want to give a shout out to Elo Mobby for originally discovering this tech. He's this game's tasser, and again, definitely check out that task. It's just mind-blowing how incredible it is. Alright, time's coming up very, very soon. 1, 2, 3, and time. Okay, so my timer says 23:14, which is exactly 1 minute and 2 seconds off the current world record, which again was set on the Wii version of the game. But again, as I said, Pac-Man Museum Plus, despite having all those crazy skips, isn't that much faster for other reasons. But still, I hope that was an enjoyable run. That's actually, I think, 39 seconds better than my run I did for this marathon 4 years ago. So hopefully that was enjoyable. If you want to learn this game, definitely like join the Pac-Man Discord. We're having a lot of activity surrounding this game recently with the new release and all. So run this game, but don't beat my time. And with that, I will let them take over. Thanks for having me.
And thanks for excuse me. And thanks for that wonderful run. That was Super Viper with Pack and Roll Remix. And while I was looking at the wrong tab, we did have a couple donations come in. Real quick, we had $10 from Game Quoter with no comment, but thank you very much. $10 from V Valerie with no comment, but thank you very much. 25 from... No. I've made it go away. 25 from The Fox from Tunic, which I'm going to try and dig up that comment again. Here we go. Fun fact, when the red ghost in Arcade Pac-Man speeds up, they are referred to as Cruz Elroy, and nobody really knows why. Thanks to all the runners, volunteers, and donors. I really want to see Quickie Mountain. Can we please make that happen?